positions. They're bad girls. Let's talk about something that most men overlook but should be paying very close attention to: the psychology behind a woman's favorite sex positions. Now, I'm not here to demonize preferences or to moralize pleasure, but what I am here to do is to help you read between the lines, to decode what her desires might actually say about her mindset, and more importantly, how that mindset might affect your emotional well-being as a man. There's a certain kind of woman who prefers to be on top, and I'm not just talking about physically. She wants control, she wants power, she wants dominance. And while that might sound exciting to some, the truth is, this preference often goes far deeper than most men realize. It reflects how she operates in relationships. She's not just taking the lead in bed. She's testing your frame, challenging your masculine authority, and subtly inverting the natural polarity of masculine-feminine dynamics. And let's be clear. There's a difference between a confident, sexually expressive woman and a woman who uses sex as a tool of power. When her go-to move is to ride you while maintaining full eye contact, controlling the rhythm, the pace, the entire experience, what you're witnessing isn't intimacy, it's performance, it's strategy, it's a symbolic statement. I'm in charge here. That's not feminine surrender, that's masculine intrusion disguised in sexual play. This is the woman who often thrives on control in every area of her life. She micromanages, she interrupts, she dominates conversations. She doesn't want a partner, she wants a subject. And the bedroom becomes her stage to express this unspoken hunger for psychological superiority. The position is a metaphor. It says, you exist for my pleasure, my control, my validation. What's dangerous is that many men confuse this kind of behavior with passion. They see it as confidence, when in reality, it's often compensation. She may be hiding deep insecurities behind the need to be in command. Insecurities that make her fear true vulnerability, emotional surrender, and the softness that real love requires. And because she can't handle emotional exposure, she compensates by dominating physically. You think she's into you, but really, she's afraid of losing herself. So she plays a role that keeps her safe and keeps you guessing. This woman doesn't fall in love easily. She may be seductive, charming, wildly attractive, but she's rarely available for real connection. And when things don't go her way, she won't compromise. She'll manipulate. She'll withhold affection. She'll use sex as leverage. And you'll find yourself constantly trying to earn her warmth, trying to please her, impress her, or worse, obey her. That's not partnership. That's psychological warfare with a seductive twist. Now, I'm not saying every woman who enjoys being on top is a threat. Context matters. Balance matters. But when it's a consistent pattern, when it's her default, when she demands it, and when you feel your masculine energy shrinking under the weight of her dominance, that's when you need to pause. Not every powerful woman is dangerous, but the woman who craves power in the most intimate spaces is often signaling something unstable underneath. She doesn't want your heart, she wants your submission. Men, stop assuming that intensity equals intimacy. Start noticing the emotional intentions behind physical behavior. A woman's favorite position may be fun in the moment, but it can also be a map of her emotional wiring. And if you ignore that map, you'll get lost over and over again in relationships that confuse your instincts, weaken your masculinity, and leave you questioning your worth. The body never lies. So when her body tells you she needs control, believe it. Because trust built on illusion is always the first step toward betrayal. Let's move into something equally subtle, but just as important. The difference between sensual presence and sexual performance. And two more: sensual presence, sexual performance, and two more: sensual. A woman who's deeply in tune with her body, her emotions, and her connection with you doesn't need to act. She doesn't need to turn sex into a theatrical display because she's rooted in the moment. But when a woman leans heavily into positions that look like they came straight out of a scripted adult film, exaggerated moaning, constant role play, overuse of backharting, camera angles, and lighting in her mind, you have to ask yourself, who is she performing for? This is the woman who's more concerned with how she looks during sex than how she actually feels. She mirrors the fantasies sold to her by media and social validation, trying to be the perfect lover based on external standards. It's not about you, not even about her own real pleasure. It's about playing a role. And here's the key danger. When sex becomes a performance, authenticity leaves the room. Think about it. How can you build trust, intimacy, and connection with someone who is wearing a mask, even in the most vulnerable moment? It's like trying to fall in love with a character in a movie. And while the surface might be exciting, you'll eventually feel that something is missing, that she's not really with you. She's managing your impression of her, not offering you her truth. That's the emotional disconnect behind many of these hyper-performative sexual behaviors. Now again, let's be clear. There's nothing wrong with confidence, exploration, or creative expression in the bedroom. But when every encounter starts feeling like a stage production, you have to consider what she's trying to cover up. Is she trying to prove something? Is she avoiding intimacy by keeping everything superficial and visual? Is she using her sexuality to control the narrative instead of connecting emotionally? You'll often find that these women are uncomfortable with silence, stillness, or eye contact during sex. They shy away from slowness. They avoid gentle vulnerability. Their default is stimulation, not surrender. And here's where it gets deeper. A woman who fears emotional nakedness will distract you with physical theatrics. She'll impress you to avoid being truly seen. That kind of woman may be fun for a night, maybe even addictive for a while, but long term, you'll always be chasing something that doesn't actually exist, because what you're in love with is an illusion she carefully designed. And don't be fooled by the over-sexual confidence. Many of these women are deeply insecure underneath. The performance is a shield. She doesn't believe she's enough as she is, so she overcompensates. Her value is tied to how much attention she can command, not how deeply she can connect. And once that attention fades, she withdraws. You'll notice she stops initiating sex unless she's in the mood to perform. Intimacy becomes transactional, not emotional. If you're a man who values real connection, this kind of dynamic will eventually drain you, because no matter how attractive she is or how wild the experiences are, you'll feel lonely in her presence. You'll feel unseen, even while being touched. And that's the paradox of the performative woman. She gives you her body, but never her soul. So pay attention. If she's more concerned with turning you on than turning inward, you may not be dealing with a lover, you're dealing with an actress. And the problem with actresses is, once the applause fades, so does the act. The deepest form of intimacy isn't about how wild the sex is, it's about how real the connection feels. Never confuse performance with passion. And never trust a woman who hides behind pleasure, because what she's really afraid of is being known. Let's now turn to the kind of woman who's constantly chasing extremes in the bedroom, always looking for the next thrill, the next boundary to push, the next taboo to break. At first, it might feel exciting. She's adventurous, bold, uninhibited. You tell yourself she's sexually liberated, and maybe she is. But if you look beneath the surface, what you often find is something far less sexy. Emotional chaos trying to disguise itself as freedom. These are the women who crave novelty, not for connection, but for escape. They use intense, unconventional sex positions as a way to avoid emotional stillness. The silence between deep breaths, the eye contact that feels too intimate, the vulnerability that comes with just being. It terrifies them. So instead of sitting in that discomfort, they leap into new thrills, new fantasies, new distractions. They don't want depth, they want sensation. And here's the deeper issue. A woman who is addicted to novelty in sex is often unstable in love. She can't sit still emotionally, so she won't sit still relationally. Today she's obsessed, tomorrow she's cold. One week you're her everything, the next she's ghosting you for space. She's not consistent because chaos is her comfort zone, and that chaotic energy seeps into every part of the relationship. Men often mistake this kind of sexual energy for passion, but it's not passion, it's avoidance. It's the inability to face one's own emptiness. So instead of healing, she seduces. Instead of self-awareness, she seeks stimulation. But no matter how many positions she tries, how many nights feel like fantasy, it's never enough. Because what she truly needs is internal stability. And until she finds that, she'll keep breaking things around her, including you. The problem isn't her desire for adventure, it's her dependence on it. When a woman can't feel alive without pushing limits, she will eventually push yours. And if you let her, you'll mistake instability for intensity. And by the time you realize it, You'll be deep in a relationship that exhausts your peace and drains your masculine center.